It is. And hello, everybody, and welcome to the Fearless Floyd Show. As always, I am your host, Fearless Floyd. And of course, as you see behind me, this is a series, at least 20 videos, possibly more, regarding the Trump RICO case in Georgia, styled Trump, or actually the state of Georgia versus Donald J. Trump or Donald John Trump et al., which means there's more than one defendant. And I'm going to dive into this and give you a brief. Let me explain everything to you guys. Okay, this first video. I'm going to cover what the whole basis of this RICO lawsuit's all about, criminal lawsuit. Then I'm going to go into the statute that covers it in the next video, and then the next video after that will be the first defendant that has already plea bargained. The next video after that will be the next person, which was Cheeseboro. First one was Hall. Second one was Cheeseboro. The third one is, of course, Sidney Powell. So I will address those one by one, and we will break this down in layman's terms so I can get you through all the legal mumbo jumbo and those technical words that you don't really understand. So while I'm over here getting this, you can like, subscribe, share, hit that notification bell, leave a comment below. You can always reach me at the Fearless Floyd Show at yahoo.com. And I am the Fearless Floyd Show across every social media platform that you ever plan to visit or participate in. So there we go. All right, here we go. This is Wikipedia, so take it with a grain of salt. I just showed from actually when I think I was doing the Sidney Powell video, discovered that 50% of the information on here is incorrect. And that was my artificial intelligence video. So anyway, this is from Wikipedia, and this is just a blanket explanation of what's actually going on without getting really deep into the facts. So just take this with a grain of salt, okay? Just know that this is a political assassination. The state of Georgia versus Donald J. Trump et al. Is a pending criminal case against Donald Trump, the 45th president of the United States, and 18 co-defendants. The prosecution alleges that Trump led a criminal racketeering enterprise in which he and all other defendants knowingly and willfully joined a conspiracy to unlawfully change the outcome of the 2020 U.S. presidential election in Georgia. All defendants are charged with one count of violating Georgia's Racketeering, Influenced, and Corrupt Organizations (RICO) statute, which has a penalty of 5 to 20 years in prison. The indictment comes in the context of Trump's broader effort to overturn his loss in the 2020 presidential election. It is one of 4 ongoing criminal indictments against Donald J. Trump in multiple jurisdictions. Defendants are variously charged with 40 additional counts from other allegations, including Trump and co-defendants plotted to create a pro-Trump slate of fake electors. Trump called the Georgia Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, asking him to find 11,780 votes, which would have reversed his loss in the state by a single vote margin, and a small group of Trump allies in Coffee County, Georgia, illegally accessed voting systems attempting to find evidence of election fraud. A grand jury handed up indictments on August 14th, 2023, a little over 2 months ago, following an investigation launched in February 2021 by Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis. 3 defendants have pleaded guilty, and the rest have pleaded not guilty. The case is set to be heard in the Fulton County Superior Court with Judge Scott McAfee presiding. Another judge denied requests from former Trump Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, former Department of Justice official Jeffrey Clark, and 3 other defendants to have their cases removed to federal court. Wow, really? They denied that. Go to the federal court of claims. You guys need some better attorneys. That's all I can say. Y'all should have all stood firm, all crank this mother up. We're going to trial. That's what I would have done. All stood together. That would have been a show of force to the American people that the Trump organization will not be penetrated by anybody. And I've preach this over and over and over that Trump keeps surrounding himself with fallible people. You have to surround yourself with people who are dedicated, who are loyal, who are going to go down, who have no qualms about going to prison or jail and can do the time. If you can't do the crime, don't, or can't do the time, don't do the crime. So you guys thinking y'all are going to get out there and do something and y'all got y'all's hands slapped. Prior to and during election day, weeks before the 20, I mean, y'all know this story. I'm not going to go into this minutia because it really has nothing to do really with, what the indictment is. And this, weeks before the 2016 presidential election, Trump claimed through a series of tweets that widespread voter fraud was imminent, a sentiment echoed by his legal advisor, Rudy Giuliani. Trump repeated the accusation throughout his presidency and into his 2020 re-election campaign. For months, he prepared arguments in the event of his loss, primarily relating to mail-in ballots. As early as August 2020, he enlisted conservative activist and lawyer Cleta Mitchell to help overturn the election. 2 days before the election day, November 3rd, 2020, he told reporters that he would be going in with his lawyers as soon as the election was over. They knew the election fraud was coming. This is what the whole executive order that he issued regarding election interference. This is what this is all about. Okay. And I keep hearing that he's playing this 5D chess and he's, a brilliant, intelligent man, but I just don't see it when you surround yourself by people who, will instantly throw you under the bus when their own livelihood or freedom is at stake. Can't surround yourself with dedicated people. Don't surround yourself with anybody at all. Stand firm, solo. I've done it. Difficult to do, but it can be done. On election day, preliminary surveys at polling places showed Trump in the lead as his supporters were more likely to turn out in person amid the COVID-19 pandemic. But his lead diminished as mail-in ballots were counted. At the behest of Giuliani, Trump declared in a 2 a.m. election night speech in the East Room that he had won the election and the counts being reported were fraudulent. As ballots were being counted, campaign data expert Matt Okazowski, hope I pronounced that right, Matt, bluntly informed Trump that he was going to lose the election. White House counsel Pat Cipollone told him that invalidating the results of the election would be a murder-suicide pact. Under then Attorney General William Barr, the Department of Justice failed to find widespread voter fraud in the election, of course, because William Barr is allegedly Mr. Deep State. He is in with, the pedophiles. Yeah, you're in with those guys, allegedly. William Barr. We definitely know he's a sellout to Trump. Sold him out multiple times. Former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, this is, again, my point. Trump bringing in people that are not loyal to him, to the Republican Party's dogma, or even loyal to the American people. Trump, stop, bro. Now I understand why, you brought your son-in-law in and, your family. I get it now. Totally understand it. Former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, predicted that Trump voters would erupt in rage, a sentiment shared by House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy, who told Laura Ingraham on the Ingraham Angle that Republicans should not be silent about this. Efforts to pressure Georgia state officials. On December 3rd, 2020, a 7-hour hearing of the Georgia Senate Committee on the Judiciary heard Trump's legal team, including Rudy Giuliani and John Eastman, make false claims alleging fraud and misconduct. That's the correct word right there. In the state's election process, and that the Georgia's legislature had power to appoint electors for Trump. A similar presentation was made to the Georgia House of Representatives Committee on Governmental Relations. On December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day, Trump called Georgia House Secretary David Ralston, asking him to convene a special session of the state legislature to overturn the Georgia election results. In late December 2020 and early January 2021, Jeffrey Clark, the Assistant Attorney General for the Environment and Natural Resources Division and acting for the DOJ Civil Division, drafted a letter to Georgia officials stating the DOJ had identified significant concerns that may have impacted the outcome of the election in multiple states, urging the Georgia legislature to convene a special session for the purpose of considering issues pertaining to the appointment of presidential electors. Clark presented the draft letter to Acting Attorney General Jeffrey Rosen and his deputy Richard Donahue and for their signatures. They rejected the proposal and the letter was never sent. Trump pressured Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to change the state's election results during an hour-long conference call in January 2nd, 2021. Trump told Raffensperger, "What I want is to do this. I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than those brackets mean that that's not in the original quote. That's the author putting this in there for emphasis on the context of the statement, which is more than the 11,779 vote margin of defeat we have because we won the state. On September 17th, Trump wrote to Raffensperger alleging that 43,000 ballots in DeKalb County had been mishandled and that Raffensperger should start the process of decertifying the election or whatever the corrupt legal remedy is and announce the true winner. In the 2023 Georgia indictment, the 38th and 39th counts address this act. Okay, so let me address that real quick. Okay. An electoral candidate has a right to demand a recount and a forensic inspection of the ballots submitted. Okay. There's a lot going on here. This is why my own personal belief is that this 70-day window right now between the time that they were indicted and the time they're going to trial, there's been really no discovery. Okay, because in true discovery, all these specific things that they're talking about, like one of the defendants in Coffee County, going to the voting machine and actually, tampering with the machine. I forget exactly how they phrased it here. But it's all questionable. So the plan to recruit false electors for Donald Trump and pressure public officials to accept them was spearheaded by Rudy Giuliani and John Eastman in support of the Trump campaign. See, here's that word, Trump campaign, with the awareness of Trump himself, although other campaign staff expressed doubts about the plan. The plan led to false documents being produced in 7 states: Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, New Mexico, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Don't be surprised if you see indictments coming from Arizona as well as Wisconsin, possibly Pennsylvania and Michigan, but definitely I would think more coming out of Arizona and Wisconsin. As is typical, and that's in my own opinion, as is typical, the 16 potential electors for Trump in Georgia were chosen before the election, after Biden won the election, and days before the scheduled casting of the electoral votes. The Republican electors received calls asking them to come to the Georgia state capitol to cast alternate ballots, ostensibly in case Texas versus Pennsylvania was ruled in favor of Trump. However, the case was thrown out December 11th, 2020, 3 days before the electoral vote was to occur, a fact that was withheld from most of the fake electors by Giuliani and Kenneth Chesebro. 4 members of the Republican electoral slate declined to participate, including former U.S. Senator Johnny Isakson, and were replaced. Georgia fake electors convened in the meeting room at the state capitol at the same time as the true electors were meeting in the state Senate chamber. State Senator Sean Steele verified fake electors' identities as they entered the room, but the meeting was reportedly open to the public and video was posted that day. Unlike some other states, Georgia false certificate of ascertainment did not contain language specifying it was to be used only if the Trump campaign prevailed in litigation. One state case, Trump versus Raffensperger, was still pending at the time. The falsified documents were then sent to the U.S. Senate and the National Archives by Giuliani and Chief Burrow's team. I have not seen these documents. I don't know what they are, what they look like, or anything about them. That's something I'll have to look into. This is the Coffee County incident that I was talking about. Coffee County election equipment breach. In the weeks after the election, Trump and his associates attacked the electronic voting company Dominion Voting System. In particular, they claimed that ballots were being altered in a process known as adjudication. Intended to resolve minor errors, Trump asserted that human operators could switch Trump-intended votes to Biden votes. On January 7th, someone who had posed as a fake elector and who had communicated with the Coffee County election supervisor about elections office access escorted 2 Trump operatives into the office, which was captured on surveillance video. Allegedly assisted by employees of the data forensics firm Sullivan Strickler, they copied data from the voting equipment. In a recorded phone conversation, Atlanta Trump supporter Scott Hall recalled that the team scanned every frickin' ballot, including equipment that they had imaged all the hard drives used on election day. The Washington Post reported in September 2023 that during the weeks following the 2020 election, Hall had conversations with leaders of the Georgia Bureau of Investigation and the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Georgia. Georgia's prosecutor said Hall had a 63-minute phone conversation with Jeffrey Clark on January 2nd, 2021, whatever that was about. January 19th, text messages between 2 men hired by the Trump legal team show the intent to use the data to decertify the Georgia presidential results, as well as the 2021 Georgia runoff election. The texts were between Sidney Powell associate Jim Penrose and former National Security Agency official Doug Logan, whose firm, Cyber Ninjas, later ran the 2021 Maricopa presidential ballot audit. The firm, Sullivan Strickler, was subpoenaed by the special grand jury convened in this case in 2022. The company had insisted it is a politically agnostic and had simply accepted paid work as a third-party contractor for the Trump campaign. During the investigation, the 2 Trump operatives admitted that Sidney Powell had sent them and that they had accessed a voting machine inside the building. Kathy Latham, one of the fake electors who had escorted them into the building, invoked the Fifth Amendment. Of the 18 co-defendants indicted on August 14, 2023, 4, Powell, Hampton, Latham, and Hall, are charged in the Coffee County breach. 2 of these have already pled out. Harassment of Fulton County election workers. After the election, Trump and Giuliani amplified a video that was taken out of context and used the footage to make baseless claims that Ruby Freeman and her daughter, Wandrea Shea Moss, had committed election fraud. Giuliani accused them of passing around USB ports as if they were vials of heroin or cocaine, engaging in surreptitious illegal activity, citing video footage that, according to Moss, actually showed the women with a ginger mint. The women and their family members were subjected to anti-Black racist smears and death threats and were warned by the Federal Bureau of Investigation that they would not be safe in their home. Freeman and Moss sued Giuliani for defamation in the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia in December 2021. Giuliani was ordered to pay $89,000 in attorney fees to them in July 2023 after being sanctioned for failing to turn over evidence in the case. Giuliani admitted his statements had been defamatory per se, yet denied that they had caused any damages on July 25th. The judge entered a default judgment on August 30th against Giuliani due to his failure to produce subpoenaed documents. Moss testified in a June 2022 public hearing before the U.S. House Select Committee on the January 6th attack that after Giuliani's remarks, she and her family were subjected to a barrage of racist threats, including "Be glad it's 2020 and not 1920," in reference to lynching in the United States. During her testimony, Freeman said, "There is nowhere I feel safe, nowhere. Do you know how it feels to have the President of the United States target you? Well, I don't know. How does it feel to have every Democratic operative in the United States target you? Yeah, imagine what that looks like. Moss said that false accusations made against her had impacted her well being in a major way, in every way, all because of lies. And this goes into the charges. Here's the indictment. So let's read what these are. Criminal charges fall into several clusters. Violation of the Georgia RICO, Racketeering Influence Corrupt Organizations Act. This is a single blanket charge accusing all 19 defendants of engaging in criminal enterprise to overturn the 2020 U.S. presidential election through obstructing the casting and counting of Georgia's electoral votes. 161 individual acts are listed in support of the criminal enterprise. RICO charges allow the court to consider evidence of alleged acts in other states. Solicitation of violation of oath by public officer and false statements and writings to public officials. These charges relate to the false assertions about purported election fraud. Most of these charges allege acts targeted members of the Georgia General Assembly, which was basically their state legislature. 7 at a Senate Judiciary Committee meeting, 2 at a House Governmental Affairs Committee meeting, 1 to the Speaker of the House, 1 for the attempt to have the Jeffrey Clark letter approved by the U.S. Department of Justice officials. 4 were targeted at Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger and his staff covering the Trump-Raffensperger phone call and another communication in September of 2021. Impersonating a public officer, forgery in the first degree, filing false documents, and attempt to commit this and false statements in writings and documents. These charges relate to fake electors purporting to be true electors and creating and distributing 2 false documents, the certificate of ascertainment and its cover letter. There is also 1 charge for filing in the federal case, Trump versus Kemp. Fake electors and the federal case filers were charged with the underlying crimes, while others were charged with conspiracy to commit them. Perjury and false statements and writings to investigators. 1 charge for lying under oath to the Fulton County Special Purpose Grand Jury, and 1 for lying to investigators in the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. Conspiracy to commit each of election fraud, computer theft, computer trespass, computer evasion of privacy, and to defraud the state. These charges relate to a breach of voting equipment in Coffee County, Georgia, influencing witnesses, and attempts to commit this, and conspiracy to commit solicitation of false statements and writings. These charges relate to an attempt to harass and influence Fulton County election worker Ruby Freeman. This is who's pled guilty so far, as I have stated: Kenneth Cheeseborough, Sidney Powell, and Scott Graham Hall. Scott Graham Hall is a local bail bondsman in Georgia, I believe Fulton County. He doesn't have a profile on Wikipedia. Of course, these 2 do. And he is a lobbyist, I believe, for the Republican Party. So, yeah, here we go. Donald Trump, still president of the United States, not former president. See what it says right there? The president of the United States is the head of state and head of government for the United States. President directs the executive branch. Doesn't say former. Just saying. 2 lawyers, Giuliani and Smith, Kathy Latham, who we just talked about, fake elector, Robert Cheeley, he's an attorney, John Eastman, he's an attorney, David Schaefer, he's a fake elector, state GOP chair for the Republican Party, Cheeseborough, another attorney who's already copped out, Mike Roman, he was on the campaign staff, Sean Steele, state senator, fake elector, Jenna Ellis was another attorney, Mark Meadows, he was the White House chief of staff, and of course Jeffrey Clark was the DOJ official who raised the wanted to send the letter, but was denied. And then we have Kathy Latham, again, Coffee County, Scott Hall, the bail bondsman, Misty Hampton, Coffee County election supervisor, and of course Sidney Powell, campaign attorney. We have Steve Lee, who is a chaplain from Illinois. Yeah, they even got the clergy involved in this. And we have Harrison Floyd, who is Black Voices for Trump leader, and Trevian Cootie, publicist from Chicago. And those are the 19 defendants in Georgia versus Trump criminal RICO trial. And let me see if I can pull up my I believe I had a picture of all of them together. Yeah, let me cover this just to give you a little touch and go. From the New York Post, Scott Hall, bail bondsman charged alongside Trump in Georgia, becomes the first defendant to take a plea deal. This is published September 29th, 2023 by the AP, Associated Press, in the New York Post. Atlanta, a bail bondsman charged alongside former President Donald Trump and 17 others has become the first defendant in the Georgia election interference case to accept a plea deal with prosecutors. Scott Hall pleaded guilty in court on Friday to 5 counts of conspiracy to commit intentional interference with performance of election duties, all misdemeanors. So he got his stuff reduced again, just like Sidney Powell and Cheeseboro. Terms of his plea bargain, he will receive 5 years probation, agreed to testify for the proceedings as part of the deal. I haven't looked at his record to determine whether or not I'll do an individual video on him, but I just want to give you a little touch and go right there. What the upcoming videos will address. So there's your synopsis, your opening to this series on Georgia versus Trump, the Trump RICO, and what it really looks like broken down in layman's terms. Like, subscribe, share, hit that notification bell, leave a comment below if you want to reach me, the Fearless Floyd Show at yahoo.com. I am the Fearless Floyd Show on almost every social media platform you can shake a stick at. Share this video with God and everybody. Stay tuned, subscribe, hit that notification bell. So I am going to put out more videos, like I said at the very beginning, at least 20 in this series. It will be in a playlist in my YouTube channel under Trump RICO. So look for it there. Thank you for joining me. I hope you learned something. I will be producing these videos and pumping them out every day. And as new things occur in this particular case, I will be posting updated videos. Anything breaking, I will come through. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.